Holla at your boy, this is Jimbo Stevens, and my co-host, the whole effing podcast, Ray Van Dam, and this is the first episode of the second season. We do have an entirely first season, but I got lazy, and to be honest, I didn't have time to edit it all and put it all together. So we move forward, we move on. This podcast takes place on February, first week of February, and it took place right after the Super Bowl. We talked about us being wrong, and it does happen. People are wrong. Let's just be real. People are wrong, and we were wrong about our prediction. We thought that the Seahawks would win. They didn't. Tom Brady and the Patriots won. Actually, I should take that back. Malcolm Butler and the Patriots won. If we're being real. Tom Brady, he just threw touchdowns. He was a part of it. The game-winning play happened by Malcolm Butler. So we're talking about that. We're talking about Anderson Silva coming back, failing drug tests, so on and so forth. Then we go on to a really deep discussion about who is greater, Joe Montana, Tom Brady. Then we start talking about who's greater, LeBron James or the combination of Kobe and Michael Jordan. Believe me, it's a no-brainer for those who are intelligent, or at least have some brain cells that weren't killed from drinking most of the time. That being said, disclaimer, we probably said it before. We'll say it throughout podcast. We don't give a shit about being experts. We don't care. We're just not gonna lie to you. We're gonna tell you the truth. If a guy sucks, he sucks. Regardless of the situation of the team he's on, if he's bad, he's bad. If he's good and he's in a bad situation, then he's good. Like, for example, Emmanuel Sanders went from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a lot of people just wrote him off as being a bad receiver. It's not necessarily the case. You put him in a good situation, like, for example, with Peyton Manning, the guy listens, he does his job, catches balls, and he ended up being one of the top receivers for most teams in fantasy football last year. And we'll tell you as it is. We're not going to pander to you. We're not going to coddle your balls and make you feel good about yourself. No, fuck that. Chip Kelly is running that team into the ground until DeMarco Murray came around, and I don't even believe that was Chip Kelly's doing. I have a feeling that was the front offices at the Eagles doing, because they were tired of seeing Chip Kelly gut that team. San Francisco 49ers are in the same position. That team is a sinking ship. Let's be real. They need help. They need to get their head out of their asses, and Jed York needs to figure out what the fuck's going on. That's real. That's what this podcast is all about. That's what the show is all about. It's real people talking about real shit, not getting paid by sponsors or being endorsed by the same guys who endorse other athletes and having to pump those guys up. We're not here to suck their dicks because we don't get paid for that shit. We don't even get paid at all. We do this for free. And we talk about the real shit. The kind of shit that kind of makes you upset is the same shit that's going to make us upset. So, that being said, this is episode 1. And it was... We had done the podcast on... Get the right date. We had done the podcast on February 5th. Was it February? Yeah, it was February 5th because the fight was on the 31st and the Super Bowl was on the 1st. And then Raider fans were pissed at the world. But, hey, Raider fans, rejoice. Tom Brady didn't win that Super Bowl. I totally agree with that shit. Who won that Super Bowl was Malcolm Butler. That's who won that Super Bowl. That being said, on with the show. Have fun. Enjoy. Don't take it serious. Don't get mad, bro.
So the Super Bowl, we both got it wrong. The Seahawks fucking lost.
They should have won.
Yeah.
Everybody looking back at that, it's
the last play of the game.
I feel like I think everyone feels like Seattle gifted that Super Bowl to the Patriots, and it went against everything, like NFC Championship game, all those miracles.
Yeah,
blow it in the end. Even that bobbling catch that they had, like the couple plays before.
So
it was just total
catch of the year. No, that and the Odell Beckham catch of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it was all setting up. It was going to be another one of those Super Bowls where the Patriots lose it on some crazy, ridiculous catch.
Yeah,
and it was all setting up perfectly.
Storybook
that way, and they blew it.
Yeah, right. Malcolm Butler right at the end says, "Nah, fuck you guys." he went beyond the script, and that's probably why the Seahawks were mad. He's like, "We're supposed to win." He was like, "What can I do?"
A lot of people were even
fucking
A lot of people were even talking like conspiracy type thing, like saying that Pete Carroll wanted Russell Wilson to get the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he thought he was gonna have a turnover, but he wanted to give him an opportunity to get that game-winning touchdown to help solidify.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Wilson set up his name, his legacy.
Yeah.
And then, you give it to Marshawn. Marshawn he's getting that Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Gives him a little bit more leverage when it comes to negotiating his next deal. And you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Especially within a running back that's a little bit older. He's still good. He's still got it.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think he's 29 right now. And
29, and he'll be gone from the Seahawks in like about a year or two.
People have a hard time giving money to running backs at around that age.
Whether they're going to be around.
He would have rather gave it to Russell Wilson since he's a young quarterback.
And he'll be around for a long period of time.
So I could see that having played a part.
Oh, yeah.
And or maybe Russell Wilson, secretly complained about it to the sideline and was like, when's it going to be my turn? So that Marshall. I think that's what happened. I'm going to start calling him Jan. Jan Wilson.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm fucking talking about. Yeah, that's awesome.
He wanted all the glory.
Oh, hell yeah. Because
all the talk was about Lynch. Even though he said nothing at his press conferences prior to the Super Bowl, it's the only press conference everyone remembers.
Yeah, and it's the one that everyone continued to talk about.
Yep.
And what ends up happening? Try to get it to Russell Wilson, put the game in his hands. And to add to what you were saying about the conspiracy is that it very much sounds like when Belichick gave Brady the ball in the last 2 minutes of his first Super Bowl in 2001 against the Rams, where it was tied, and John Madden's talking about, well, you should just play for overtime, and the score is 17-7, and Brady drives down the field, and every single play was a passing play. Every single play was designed to get Brady the ball down the field to be in scoring position for Adam Vinatieri to kick the field goal and win the game, and allow Tom Brady to be the hero.
Which is kind of weird. It's like
10 years later.
Your definition of people defining him as a Super Bowl hero all hinges on Vinatieri making all three of those field goals at the end of the game.
Yeah. And winning by such close margins.
Yep.
And everyone always, I swear, it doesn't matter, and Patriots fans the most, oh my God. People from Boston will be like, oh yeah, Brady won this. Wait, hold on, who kicked the ball?
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because every single Super Bowl that Tom Brady has quote unquote won, they have all been someone
else had to make the game winning play.
Yes, exactly.
In all of them.
Every single game.
Vinatieri is the one that put them all ahead in all those Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. Even the last one, it was Butler that had to make the game winning interception. Which
yeah. That moment, it's like, I swear to God, Roger Goodell is like, all right, guys, this is gonna be the passing of the torch. Russell Wilson's gonna throw this.
I can't believe he lost that fight.
Oh yeah,
he lost that fight. And even though officially it counted as Bradley won, you're just like, he didn't win.
And we all knew
he didn't win. That's how I feel about the Super Bowl. I mean, they got the ring. you know. I feel like they don't, and they really had a chance at maybe getting 3 in a row.
Oh yeah,
Which,
no more Super Dynasty.
I mean, a part of me, you know, I think everyone's always going to be kind of a hater, and that no one's ever done 3 in a row, so everyone wants their team to do it, you know. So I think everyone would have been rooting against Seattle next year if they had been going on a mission for 3 in a row. Or like I was trying to crown the phrase Three-addle.
Oh my god, yeah.
Or the Three Hawks.
The Three Hawks. That was the one, the Three Hawks.
That would have been nice, but you know, we'll never see it.
Nah.
And I don't know, I think I would have been rooting for it. I think just because
no one's
it'd
ever
be
done
nice to
it.
see it, you know, in your lifetime, like, oh damn, team won 3 in a row. So I mean,
and then like, you know, 50 years down the road, while our grandkids are walking around talking about fucking some bum throwing the ball for like 1,000 yards. He's like, oh, he's the greatest. No, I saw the greatest team of all time.
It's all the best football dynasty ever.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You didn't live that life. Put your rose-colored tinted glasses on. So after that, and speaking of conspiracy, I heard it like at the Super Bowl party that I was like, I was at, and you know, Patriots won by 4, right? Patriots won by 4. It's Tom Brady's 4th ring. Tom Brady threw four touchdowns, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's a conspiracy that Tom Brady would win it because all these 4s involved in the game." Final score was like 24-28, and you divide 28 by 2, and it's 14. And I'm just looking, I'm like, you're really reaching the bottom of the barrel, aren't you? Just to justify your conspiracy.
Is this like the sequel to that Jim Carrey movie?
Was it the number 29?
23 or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. The number 20-something?
Yep.
And you know, in Jim Carrey's world, 24 minus 28 doesn't equal 29. But you know what equals 29? It's the number 29.
28 plus 1.
Yeah, that's as soon as I started hearing that, I was like, oh crap, I better leave. It's like, it's gonna be bad.
Jim Carrey doing a serious role, huh?
I would have never guessed. I'd have never knew. And then before the Super Bowl, because now that the Super Bowl is done and over with, now we can talk about the fallout with Anderson Silva.
Ah, yes.
And the fight that happened between him and Nick Diaz. Now, the funny thing is, I mentioned this before, both of them tested positive and failed their drug tests. Yeah. But in the world that we live in, Nick Diaz is going to get like a 4-year suspension, and Anderson Silva is just going to get a slap on the wrist.
Probably. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, you could say Nick is a repeated, he's a repeated offender for testing positive for weed. Like, but it's just weed, you know? It's not really a performance-enhancing drug. And his was his post-fight drug test. And then Silva's was his pre-fight drug test. And I love the UFC, but there's some weird shit going on with that when he failed his pre-fight drug test. The fight still happened, but Hector Lombard failed his pre-fight drug test. Who looks like he's juiced up? That dude is. Yeah. If there's ever a reason why you should take steroids, look at Hector Lombard's body, and you'll be like, okay, if I can get those results, sure, why not?
I guess.
But you know, it's like he failed his pre-fight drug test, and the fight is canceled.
Yeah. It was immediate too.
Yeah.
Like when the test came in, Dana White was like, "Nah, fuck that. We're gonna cancel that."
Yep. And it's like, dude,
I don't stand to make any money from that.
Yeah, it's, you know what? It's because the money was on the line. Yep. It was the main event.
Oh yeah.
Of their Super Bowl. That's usually one of their biggest cards of the year is the Super Bowl weekend. Mm-hmm. There's no way they wanted to miss out on all that money.
Oh yeah,
they've been trying forever to get Nick Diaz in the ring.
Yeah.
Finally
happened.
Finally give him the fight that he's been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they would have yanked that fight, that would have been pretty bad.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, if they would have yanked that fight, and said that this is the reason, I probably would have looked at it and said, that shows integrity.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely give them a little bit more legitimacy, and people kind of like, you know what, that's the right approach to take.
Yeah.
Especially if he's on the roids and they knew about it. It's not fair to Nick Diaz or any opponent. If anyone tests positive for roids before the fight, it is not fair to his opponent, you know?
Yeah, Dana White might as well have just put a lead pipe in Anderson Silva's hand.
Yeah,
Yeah, go for it.
There was no way to. I mean, they made money, but there's no way to win off of it. Like,
Nah.
maybe long term wise, because what you get is if Silva wins and he beats Diaz, say he beats him convincingly, it doesn't look good for Diaz. Even if the decision gets overturned,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, okay, Silva's going to be out for a year, and you got Diaz, who's another, you know, like main event type fighter.
Yeah.
And now you just had him take a loss, and you know it's a little harder to build people for a main event type fight after coming off of a loss, and it's, you know, your future is going to have to be in Diaz, even though he may or may not stand fighting that much longer, or you never really know with him. It's if you had to invest in one fighter or the other, I'd probably have to go with Diaz, especially if Silva has been out for over a year.
Yeah.
Coming off back-to-back losses, and then he tests positive for roids. It's like he might be done. So you might just have to. I'm not saying the whole UFC is going to be riding on Diaz, but he's another fighter of that level. He'd say, you know what?
Because like, what options do you have left in a guy that, you know? I mean, because like, like for example, not to take away from the smaller fighters, but I mean, are you going to put it in Demetrius Johnson?
Yeah.
I mean, he's dominant in that weight division, but nobody wants to see a very small guy who's very fast and very good, you know, knock people out. They want us. This is the way America thinks, unfortunately. And for guys like me and you, we see MMA for what it is. The rest of America, this is what they see. I want to see a big guy hit another big guy as hard as he can and knock him out.
Yeah.
And then after they say that, that's what I want to see. And then they'll say, bro.
That's how they finish it. That's how they start and finish.
That's how
sentence.
They start. Bro, I want to see one big dude hit another big dude and knock him out, bro. That's it. That's the sentence. That's America right there. That's America.
Yep.
Back in the day, it started with sir and ended with sir. Now it's bro and ending with bro.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much. That's the evolution right there.
No, it's de-evolution.
Yeah, de-evolution.
Unfortunately, that's what it is. And
it's kind of. It's almost like the way like professional wrestling has gone.
Oh yeah.
Like there are people that'll watch a wrestling match and appreciate it for like the technical aspects of the match, or
like the Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, the good spots, highs and lows, like almost working out like a good script, you know, like the old ECW matches. It wasn't, you didn't always have guys that were like 6'5", 260 pounds, like real chiseled. Yeah, guys going against each other like 5'10", 6'1", 180 pounds. Almost looking like the average person.
Yeah.
Put it on great matches.
And they told the story.
Yeah, and now you don't really see that anymore. Now it's just it's a lot of like gimmicky type stuff. The matches have really gone to crap.
It starts to remind me of like the early 90s before Bret Hart.
Yeah.
You know, type of thing.
Yeah, yep.
Where it was everything's flashy. Everything's got to be about, you know, why the big guys got to get all the attention? That's what I mean, just because you're big doesn't mean you're good.
Yeah.
And I've always said that.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You know, like for example, for the longest time, and it's true in sports too. Like Steve Nash is not like fucking 6'7", 6'8". He's a wonderful basketball player. Hall of Fame career.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Maurice Jones-Drew or Darren Sproles.
Yep.
You put those guys in the right setting, And like for example, a lot of people would write off Darren Sproles going to the Eagles, but he still was the guy who caused headaches for a lot of people.
Yeah, he still had a good role. Even though Chip Kelly kind of went away from him like towards the second half of the year, which I don't really know why he did, but
I blame Shady really is Shady.
maybe because he went like those first 2 or 3 games. I remember Sproles was killing
dude,
it.
yeah,
he was getting touches, rushing attempts, catches, plus his special teams play.
Yeah,
and then towards the end of the year, he was only outside of special teams, he's only touching the ball like maybe 3 times a game.
Yeah, and that right there shows that there is talent in guys who aren't necessarily big.
Yeah.
Right? The UFC needs to start adopting that. They need to take a strong consideration for guys who are smaller, because these are the guys who are going to create the exciting fights. Like for example, in the 80s, when boxing was at the highest point that it could ever be, and before it started to decline, you had one guy who was like the pinnacle, and that ended up being Mike Tyson. He is the guy you remember from the 80s. He was a heavyweight. He was a big guy, even though he was like about our height. What could you do about boxing to bring out the special abilities of guys who are smaller? Put the guys who are smaller in great fights with each other. Guys like Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns, the 4 horsemen of boxing during the 80s, right? Yeah. Why doesn't Dana White take a good strong look at the talent roster and pick out the guys that he knows could put on the best fights?
Yeah.
Feel them out with each other and then say, hey, look, because the one thing that I've noticed that Dana White hasn't tapped into yet, and everyone in the UFC, is that they haven't tapped into rematches as often as boxing does.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of trilogies in MMA. I mean, it's happened. Of course, you can name some off your head, but you don't see it as much as I would say in boxing. Even there's times where people fight each other 4 times.
Yeah.
In boxing, MMA, I can't.
I think there was really,
I think there was Arlovsky and Tim Sylvia did it, I think they fought for a 4th time in someone's backyard.
In Japan.
Yeah.
In Japan somewhere. In a rice field. That's not racist.
In an underground sushi bar.
Yeah, like those 2 guys and Vanderlei and Rampage are probably like the only 2 guys that come off the top of my head that have fought 4 times. Aside from that, nobody has. Well, yeah, nobody has really.
I could see.
Into it.
I would pay to see Kane and Dos Santos do it again.
Why it was great.
The first one, Dos Santos knocked him out. He still got that knockout power.
Yeah. I
think in the other 2 matches, Kane dominated him in every single round.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if it happens again, if they fight again and Dos Santos gets dominated every round, then he'll probably never get a title shot against Kane.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's still got the ability to knock anyone out. And he's almost like how the WWE has their Intercontinental Champion. The way it used to be, not the way it is now, with like a mid-tier fighter. It used to be, you had your heavyweight championship was like Hulk Hogan, and then your Intercontinental Champion was like Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
It was like your best and like your second best, or maybe your 4th or 5th best dude on the whole roster.
Yeah, and that's what that title was meant for. Is like whoever got and this is how you knew who was going to be champion next. Whoever had the Intercontinental Championship was going to be the next champion.
You either won the Intercontinental belt or you won the King of the Ring tournament. And it was like you were on your way if you did those.
Unless you're Billy Gunn.
Yeah, he's the one that didn't. But it's if the UFC had an Intercontinental Champion, Dos Santos would easily.
Yeah, he would be that guy.
And I mean, I'd say it's a good thing that the UFC doesn't have a shitload of belts like boxing does.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I almost think like, man, it's not fair that some of these guys haven't been a champion. Like I thought like Josh Koscheck was like a championship level fighter.
Oh yeah.
And someone could probably point back at his career and like, oh well, he was never a champion. It's like, well, he could have been a champion if he would have went and fought in all these other mid-tier promotions, but he fought in the UFC like the whole time.
He fought the best of the best, and that's the tough thing too. It's like for example, the only going into football, the only thing that made Deion Sanders better was him going up against the best wide receivers, and that showed how good he was.
Yeah,
you put Josh Koscheck against the best in the UFC, it shows how good he is.
Yeah,
and how great he could be. The only thing is that, how many opportunities are guys like him going to get? And it's not often in the UFC.
Yeah.
For some reason, Dana just says, all right, you're one, and if you don't do it, then I'll never consider you for another fight
it's
again.
hard. It's hard to get a rematch for the belt in the UFC unless there's like some controversy, like split decision type.
Mm-hmm.
But still, even sometimes in those cases, times you thought would be an immediate rematch and it didn't happen. It'll go that way. If the challenger or if the champion lost, or the challenger won in a split decision, then sometimes the champion will get the instant rematch.
Yeah.
But there's times when you saw when Gustafsson fought Bones Jones.
Yeah.
I thought Gustafsson should have got an instant rematch because that fight was so close, and it didn't happen.
And that begs the question is like, why doesn't it happen during situations like that?
I don't know. I think sometimes they've been building up another fighter,
and
you know what, Gustafsson he'll earn his way back again,
and honestly, I think Dana White and a lot of fans in the UFC are too focused on a super fight. They're just too concentrated on a super fight that they start ignoring a lot of the talent that's around the fighters that are champions.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it devalues the UFC in many ways because now, instead of looking at the roster and saying, man, this guy would be great paired up against this guy, or, instead of that, it's always, okay, who are we going to put against the champion? And that's what it seems like. It seems like, all right, we need to make money. We need to make huge mega fights. Who are we going to put against the champion that would be a good fit? And in some cases, honestly, it feels like they say to themselves, who can the champ take?
Yeah.
Who can the champ beat?
I think the UFC, what they don't want is, you remember how the light heavyweight division was like super stacked?
Oh, yeah.
About, maybe was it 7 years ago, but the title was changing hands like constantly.
So often.
It was like
there wasn't one dominant fighter.
Yeah, it was after Chuck lost it, Rampage won it, defended it once, I think, and then lost to Forrest Griffin.
Oh, you lost to Forrest Griffin.
Then Forrest Griffin
beat Shogun.
No, this is how Forrest got his title shot. He beat
he beat Shogun.
He beat Shogun, then he beat Rampage for the title.
And then he lost
it to, was it
Rashad?
Machida?
No, he lost to Rashad.
Yeah, that's right. He lost to Rashad.
And then Rashad lost to Machida.
Machida defended it once.
And then lost it to Shogun, didn't he?
I'm trying to remember who he lost it. Yeah, he might have. And let's see, who did John Jones get it off of?
Didn't he beat Shogun?
I think it was, yeah.
He beat Shogun. And then now John Jones is.
Yeah, they don't. I think they don't want that. They don't want that belt changing hands all the
Too
time.
often.
I mean, it can produce more names for your, the division.
Because now we know who they are.
Because you know who they are. But if the belt is constantly changing hands, then people are like, these guys just keep, winning and losing the belt. Like, they don't take it as serious. If you have a reign, where someone is like the champ for a while, then it's a good thing, but eventually they want it to change hands.
They wanted to change hands to somebody.
But I remember people were trying to push that, the Machida era,
yeah.
and he won it.
Oh my God,
He defended it once and then, lost it and never...
everybody got on that bandwagon really quick.
So...
And then, and that's the funny thing too, is that a lot of people during that time period, it was like the late 2000s when that happened, early part of this decade. everyone was quick to jump on the next champions bandwagon. The only person they didn't jump on was the John Jones bandwagon. Because now everybody hates John Jones.
I think it's because he's been defending it
so often.
pretty easily almost, it seems like, and people are only going to hate greatness. You're not going to hate someone that sucks.
Yeah.
It's...
If anything, you're going to root for them.
Why waste your energy? It's too easy. People hate the Yankees.
Yeah.
They hate the Lakers. They hate the Celtics. They hate
the Steelers.
People that have, established, winning, and it's because everybody wants it. So they want the winner to fall.
Yeah.
So
easily. Which is that ends up being one of those things where, and it's to the point where it feels cringeworthy to even mention. For example, everyone is always going to say, no, Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback of all time, and they're always going to put Joe Montana ahead of Tom Brady, even if he wins another Super Bowl. I don't even think it matters how many Super Bowls Tom Brady wins.
Yeah.
Everybody's always going to put Joe Montana, only because during that time in the 80s, everybody loved Joe Montana.
Yeah.
This era, everybody hates Tom Brady.
Well, Montana is 4-0 Super Bowls, no turnovers in the Super Bowl.
No.
And he's able to put people out, blow them out, get them the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. There's no, one or two plays kind of separated. No. 55-10 over the Broncos. Yeah, they're the best in the world,
Yeah. Or the comeback in against the Bengals. And the fact that when he drove, there was no sign of nervousness.
Yeah.
There was no sign of, oh man.
There wasn't a game-winning field goal. It was my
him.
team's getting into the end zone.
My team's winning,
yeah.
And there's going to be nothing you can say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't anything that was cut close about it. It was definitive that you knew he was going to win. And that ends up being the reason why everybody loved him so much, because there wasn't a doubt in people's minds.
Yeah.
With Tom Brady, there's doubt.
Yeah.
There's a doubt. And the doubt comes from a lot of the stigma around Tom Brady. The Tuck rule, Spygate, Deflategate.
I know. That's a lot of...
Giselle-gate.
Yeah. You can't say, look at all those things that happened and say, well, none of them really had a big impact. It had to,
Yeah.
You put all those things together and it's like, dude, when you're winning very, very close games in the Super Bowl, those things make an impact,
because people think about it.
Yeah, they don't have an impact when you're blowing the team out, really.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're having these tight games, they account for something,
Yeah. Like for example, when Mike Tyson dominated the 80s in boxing, there was no doubt. It was definitive. He came in and he would knock you out.
Yeah.
That was it. And there was no question in anybody's mind what he could do or what he would do.
Was, yeah.
And honestly, that's how you have, for example, another good example was Michael Jordan. He came in and he would dominate. It was there was no doubt that, okay, who are we going to give it to? No. It was all right, let's give it to Michael.
Yeah.
When Kobe came out and he was drafted by the Lakers, or he was traded to the Lakers after being drafted, 13th overall, right?
By the Hornets.
For
Vlade Divac.
I know, right?
Wow.
Isn't
steal? Vlade, he was a pretty good player.
Yeah, but
he's got his jersey retired in Sacramento, but I think he played for the Hornets for 2 seasons, I think,
and still to have your number retired in Sacramento is nothing to be proud of.
Yeah.
You might as well have your number retired by the Stockton Ports.
They do have a Sacramento Monarchs WNBA championship banner hanging up over there. So
it's not even the light version of beer. Oh my god!
It's that off-brand light version of beer. It's not Milwaukee's best, or not even Keystone Light. It's some beer you never heard about.
Bear Mountain beer.
Yeah. Has a bear being carried by a rhino.
Bear Valley Mountain Beer Light.
Catching the salmon.
Infused with cranberry and passion fruit.
Cranberry passion fruit salmon. Salmon ale. Sounds a lot like semen when you're drunk, but it's not.
Never mind the taste. It's less filling.
Sponsored by Evan Stone and Sam Jackson.
Their faces on there back to back. One's looking one way, the other's looking the other. Ah, shit. It's the same guy. It's the same dude. Oh, man. Now I totally forgot what we were talking about. Oh my gosh.
we were talking about Montana.
Oh yeah. Montana Brady. Yeah, and that ends up being like the definitive thing, you know. Like for example, there's no way that LeBron James will ever come close to Kobe Bryant. Ever. No. That's what I think. The reason is because when Kobe steps onto the court, there is no question what he's going to do. When LeBron steps onto the court, people have questions.
Yep. What's going to happen when this game is close and
exactly.
It's crunch time? You know, is he going to choke? Is he going to have a cramp? You know.
Is he on his cycle?
Yeah.
That ends up being the main thing, you know? Because like for example, when LeBron went to his first title game with the Cavs, he was fucking dominated. He got dominated.
They got swept.
He got
Spurs.
Like literally, they didn't pull out. He got raped in the ass. They didn't pull out. Yeah. They're like, we're finishing right here. This is it. Then when the Heat played the Mavs fucking dominated them. Yeah. And they took LeBron out of the game. And they tried to give it to him. They said, no, this is the guy. And apparently it showed that he wasn't the guy.
Yep. He missed all the crunch time opportunities, anything that he was like the anti-clutch in that series.
He was automatic. And that's where the debate ends. Kobe, you don't have a question. Now, the greater debate I will never touch is Kobe and Jordan. It's too hard. It all depends on your flavor of ice cream. Because honestly, I would take either one if I had them on a team.
You could trust either one with the last shot of the game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some people are gonna probably favor Jordan just because it's Jordan.
Yeah.
You know. I would feel confident with either one taking the final shot.
I feel confident with either one on my team.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's been proven both of them can win championships. Both of them can make the game-winning shot in the biggest moments, and they're not gonna fall or buckle under the pressure. You know.
Yeah.
That's why I always thought it was funny when people try and talk LeBron and Jordan and the same.
Like, why?
Like, how all of a sudden you skip comparing to even like Kobe Bryant or something like that? Like Kobe is usually the person that gets compared to Jordan.
Yeah.
And even though everyone's gonna give the nod to Jordan, you know, he's 6-0 in championships, multiple MVPs. Kobe has one, so it's, you know, Jordan's gonna get the nod. Even as a Laker fan, I don't mind giving him that. You know, that nod. But for LeBron to
be included in the conversation is,
I don't get it.
It's like scraping teeth.
It's because he's the guy right now.
Yeah.
So
he's the flavor of the month.
You wanna try and build him up so you can be like, oh, this is our poster child for this generation. He's this great. He's just like Kobe. He's just like, you know, Magic Johnson or Bird or Jordan.
And you know what it feels like? It doesn't feel like it's natural.
It doesn't. It never felt.
It felt.
I never liked them.
Like they were force feeding it to us.
Yeah, because it was the hype that was associated. Like dubbing him like King James. Like how are you?
He hasn't even done anything.
Yeah.
It's 2004. He just got drafted by the Cavs. And you're already dubbing him King James. Why? Because it fits with his name?
Yeah.
I mean, is that the only reason?
I know. It's like, it shouldn't just... A nickname shouldn't just, like, be used because it rhymes or because it fits. It's got to be that's what they are, you know? Like, Air Jordan. Jordan would really like damn near almost fly through the air and like hang up there for a while.
Yeah,
That's why they called him Air Jordan.
and
you know?
it happened after he was drafted, after he had been playing in the NBA for a while.
You
It was just you earned
a
it.
nickname.
You earned a
know?
nickname. You didn't. It wasn't given to you. It wasn't manufactured by some PR representative by your team's organization.
Kobe didn't come into the league as a 18, 19-year-old kid as the Black Mamba.
No,
He
that's
got that-
fairly recent.
Yeah, after a while, after winning championships, the way he would just be vicious and strike, like these game-winning shots and just go for the throat and nail these daggers and everything. Like, damn, he's like a Black Mamba,
Yeah,
he's
and
a killer.
Like anytime he stepped on to the court and you went up against him and he sunk his teeth into you, it was like poison.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like every time you step on the court. With somebody like for example, I'm just waiting for the next guy that they try to force feed down our throats again.
Oh, they will.
They tried to do it in football with Russell
once
Wilson.
LeBron starts to show a little bit of age,
Oh yeah.
and the athletic ability starts to fade a little bit, then they'll start. Okay, well, who's the next guy?
Who's the next guy that we got to show America that they got to buy our shoes?
Once LeBron takes the headband off and you see how far back that hairline is going, that'll be when they'll start pumping up the next dude. So, like, all right, we gotta get ready to sell some more shoes.
These LeBrons ain't gonna last forever.
Yeah.
And it's the Vince McMahon school of marketing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because and you know what? It doesn't matter what part of, whether it be sports or entertainment, everybody always takes from that formula. Everybody.
Yeah.
It's got to be bigger. It's got to be better.
Someone has to sit on the throne.
Yeah.
It can't be vacant.
It can't be vacant for a number of years. It can't be vacant for a month.
Even if you got to have an artificial king or a paper champion. Someone has to sit there at least for a little while until the real deal, reveals themselves. Sometimes the next person in line is legit and they're the real deal.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not. They're just all the marketing.
Yeah, and honestly, that's where it is all at. The funny thing is, the one time I remember seeing something like that marketing wise fail was Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
And not to discredit him as a player or his career, but they tried to push him as being the next Jordan because he's got skills and blah blah blah. And like his rookie year, he had his own shoe. Rookie year.
Yeah, he did.
His rookie year, he had his own shoe, and they were like, no, this is the new thing. This is the new blah blah blah. Kobe wasn't even mentioned. He wasn't even a name.
No.
He was nobody knew who anybody else from that draft class was.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson was that guy, and they wanted to push him as the next guy.
Yeah. It actually turned out to be a really good draft class too. Like when you look
It's one of the best.
It was a lot of all-stars came out of that draft class.
Like
but yeah,
Ray Allen was a part of that draft class.
Iverson was like the dude.
Yeah, he was the guy they were trying to push, and then it failed after a few years, and then they saw Kobe win his first title in 2000, and then they're like, oh shit, I think we fucked up.
This guy's really good, really good.
Man, we weren't prepared for that
dunk contest.
Man, we were. I don't know, guys. Do you think we might want to switch trains here?
Yeah.
They just left Allen Iverson in the dust. I think after like 2003, nobody knew who Allen Iverson was.
And then Iverson only went to one title, and then when he did, he went up against Kobe and lost 4 games to 1.
Yeah,
that was the year
smashed.
The Lakers swept the entire Western Conference.
Yeah,
come out and fucking lose game 1 against the Sixers.
Yeah,
and then win the next 4 after that.
Honestly, I think
that's like one of the most dominant seasons. I know the Bulls had their 72-win season and won the championship that year.
But still, that's like one of the most dominant postseasons you've seen.
Your whole conference, and then you only lose 1 game in the finals.
And
you still won 4 in a row. They could have.
I think
really could have swept everybody.
Yeah, like sweet.
Yeah, that would have been amazing if they would have did that. I mean, that's something. The only way you can top that is to sweep everybody. Yeah. And I don't know if that's going to happen,
No.
So
It's happened in baseball before. I've seen it in baseball, but in basketball, it's too difficult.
yeah, it's pretty hard.
It's,
Basketball, it's all a 7-game series
Yeah.
now. You know.
yeah,
So-
there's
Baseball, they have your 1-game wild card, and
Yeah.
then your 5-game series, and then your
and
two
then
sevens.
your 2-7s
So
for divisional and then pennant, things like that. Which reminds me, everyone always, the more games that you have in no matter what sport it is, you have to look at that and say, man, you have to respect that. Only because, and this, I mentioned it in the gym. I was talking to somebody, just walking around the gym at work, and somebody was asking me a question. Oh, hey, what do you think about this and that? And then I mentioned baseball, and I was like, oh, baseball sucks. And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? I guess. And they're like, yeah, they're not tough. They don't take hits or anything like that. And then I asked him, I was like, what do you what are you working on in the gym today? He's like, oh, I'm working legs. Oh, okay. Do you like that sore feeling you get after you work? And he's like, oh yeah, I can't even come to the gym the next day. It's like, you realize that baseball players, when they're sore, they come in to play a game the next day, right?
there's 162 games, right?
And they
plus playoffs.
They come across the same exact soreness that you do, and they don't want to come in to work, and you're not coming into the gym. So if you're not coming into the gym the next day to work on the same muscle that's sore that you want to take rest off from, they can't.
Like, have you ever seen a baseball player run into a wall to catch a baseball that is one at bat in one of 162 games, and they still take that fucking collision against the wall, even if it's like the first inning or 5th inning or 9th, even if whether they're up 5 runs or down 5 runs, like they're still you don't ever really see a baseball player short arm a baseball with the wall there.
No, that's fully extended.
And they know where it is.
Oh,
They throw the warning track once they get there. Like, that's what it's designed for.
Yeah.
So that way they know. But you don't ever see them alligator arm it.
Yes.
You see plenty of football players do it,
Yeah, Randy Moss.
Yeah. and sometimes they alligator arm it and they don't even get hit. There's not even anyone that's that close to them.
Yeah.
The wall is going to be there.
Yeah.
It's not going
moving.
anywhere. It's not going to move.
Yeah.
They do put a little bit of padding on it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, There are areas. There's that baseball player a couple of years ago that ran full force into the fence. Fence and busted his nose.
Oh, yeah. And the funny thing is, they run into it, whether they hyperextend the elbow or, come across some kind of injury in the shoulder. They come into work the next day. They played the game the next day.
Yeah.
You're in the gym. You're just like, oh, man, my legs are sore. My arms are sore. Oh, I kind of pinched something in my shoulder, so I'm not going to go to the gym. They're tougher than you are.
Yeah.
Because they're going into something they know is going to further damage that part of their body. Yeah. And you're not. So guess what? If you call it weak, you say they're pussies or whatever the case may be, just remember that next time you feel sore after being in the gym and you don't want to go to the gym the next day. They go back and play the game.
Grab a baseball, throw it as hard as you can.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
80 to 100 times, and then see how your arm feels.
See how your elbow feels.
See if you can come back and do it again, like
the next
4 or 5 days later,
Yeah.
Like the starting pitchers, they get their 4 or 5 days rest.
Well, that's why they have so many pitchers.
Yeah. It's like even the relievers come out there, go out there and throw a baseball as hard as you can 30 times, and throwing them at those speeds, and then go out there and pitch the next day too, because you're a relief pitcher.
Yeah, so. It's like the same thing I people say about golf, and I tell them, that they're out there, they're hitting the ball, anywhere from 70 to 100 times in one day. They go on tour and they play 4 games. All right, they play over the course of a weekend: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're hitting that ball anywhere from like 320 to 400 times in a day. Now, go out to a driving range, buy a bucket of 100 balls, go out there and hit them.
I'm done. I'm tired. I'm done doing it after 40 or 50 of them. Like,
Hell,
Fuck.
anybody is.
I mean, I don't even want to. I mean, it's fun, but I don't even want to do it anymore.
And
Fuck, dude.
the funny thing is, the place that people feel it most is in their lower back.
Yeah, you start looking for the bottom of that fucking bucket. Like, gosh, damn, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this thing. Yeah, imagine doing it fucking 100 times. Like,
Yeah, and not to mention 100 times, but not like 100 times easy, because a lot of those guys are swinging that club about 100 miles an hour. That's as
Yeah.
fast as a fastball.
Yeah.
If they're swinging at 100 miles an hour, they're putting some force and velocity behind that inside their hips.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking power that they have to generate.
Some of them you can actually see the club bend a little
Yeah.
bit. You know, you see
Yeah.
that little arc in it. Like, oh damn,
Mhm.
that's pretty fast.
Yeah, and believe me, that's after they've adjusted the shaft of the club to
Yeah.
more of the fiberglass as opposed to the steel that they had back in the day.
Yeah.
Those steel clubs, oh my god, fuck that. I've swung one of those before. Like for example, there's a difference. A lot of people don't know that there's a difference between club heads. You have the blades, which are solid. There's nothing hollow behind it, and then you have the cavity backs, and the cavity backs are empty on the inside, so they're lighter. The blades, one thick piece of steel. That's it.
Jeez.
So pretty much you're swinging like a lead weight. That's pretty much what you're swinging, and that's like that was I think cavity backs came out in like the 70s. So like in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they were swinging lead plates.
Jeez.
And then to hit the ball, and the golf ball technology back then was nothing compared to what it is now. The
Yeah.
golf balls back then were like stones, and they had to hit that shit. Can you imagine how much that is on your back and arms and
Yeah.
shoulders? And then have to come back and do it the next day, and then the next day, and then Sunday, and then have to drive out 400 miles to your next destination.
Yeah.
That's what being on tour is like, and that's what being in baseball is like. Because in baseball, none of those motherfuckers are flying first class.
Yeah. It's
They're on
not
a bus.
with baseball. It's not so much as you're having a constant, workout where you're doing like max reps and this or that.
Yeah.
It's the continuous like grind of it all.
Yeah.
That is the workout. It's not like one impactful act. I'd say aside from the starting pitchers that are trying to throw it 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Even when they do, it's maybe they go full force one play here or there, but it's constant throughout the day that they're doing these little plays, and then even the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day,
Mhm.
maybe a day off. Like on baseball, oftentimes you'll see a team have like 2 days off in a span of like 18 days or something.
Yeah.
Like
It's like a wrestling schedule.
I'm used to like when I watch the A's, like I'll put it on the TV or I'll look at the schedule. I'm like, oh shit, they're not playing today. It's it's almost like the opposite of like football. Your team only plays once a week. In baseball, they have like 1 day a week off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Where in football you have like extra days, and to understand what that feels like, going at the smaller speed or, taking it light to try to, keep up. Go outside, take a branch from a tree, and then literally
beat your child with it like Adrian Peterson.
like Adrian Peterson. This is what it feels like in football. But take that and then flick your leg once every single day for about 18 days to see how it feels.
Yeah.
And after a while, you're like, fuck that shit hurts.
You're tired of it.
You're like, no, get away from me. What the fuck's the problem?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why managers in baseball will give a player
Time off.
the game a day off or two.
Yeah.
And you probably think like, oh, it's just one game. It's not that bad. It's not just that game that day. It's the fact that they've played,
Fuck.
4 or 5, 6 games in a row, and then before that they had like 8 games in a row,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they did some amazing shit the night before and had a tight game and ran a lot of bases, did a lot of diving catches, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
their body needs that little break, 162 game season,
And believe me, you have 162 games and it has to be squeezed down in about 6 months.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, 6 months.
And sometimes there's double headers, you know.
Oh,
you get a
yeah,
rain
Jesus
out,
Christ.
the game isn't just canceled.
No, you have to
Even-
make it up.
Even if they're the two worst teams in the league, you know. Like, and it doesn't impact any playoff standings whatsoever. Like, no, you're going to do a doubleheader later on, or one of those days that you had off, you know, you're doing it then.
Oh yeah.
So,
Like you know, you hear about those guys who have to work, you know, 12-hour shifts, right?
yeah.
And then you hear about the guys who have to work like 12-hour shifts 7 days in a row, like in a cannery or you
Yeah.
know, in a fucking machine operator or whatever. You're like, fuck, dude, I want some fucking time off.
Yeah.
And that's
burned out.
that's why I end up respecting professional wrestlers a lot, because their schedules are just the same.
Insane.
Yeah.
It's not just what you see on TV. It's all the little house shows that they do.
Yeah.
Like, in between, like you see, oh yeah, Monday Night Raw is here in Sacramento, California, and next week we'll be in Los Angeles, and next week New York City. It's not like they just went from Sacramento to LA so they can catch a flight from LAX to New York. No, they drove from Sacramento, stopped somewhere on the way south, did a couple shows there,
Yeah.
did the show in Raw, then, you know, maybe drove some more to Nevada, did a show there,
Mm-hmm.
drove again, or maybe took a plane or something to another town in between.
All in that week span.
Yeah, they're hitting at multiple venues, and it's like they're hardly ever at their own home.
No, yeah,
you
that's
know?
true. I think they have like, it's funny because you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, you get like 50 days off or whatever. Fucking 50 days off? What the fuck? Are you serious? Do you realize that's like one day out of the week I get off?
Yep.
There's 50 weeks in a year. One day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you try living like that.
And you
It's
might
fucking
not
shit.
even go home because you're
No,
like,
hell no.
okay, we just did a show in Florida. My home is in Texas. I can fly to Texas, chill at home for like maybe a day or two, but then I gotta fucking go up to fucking, you know, Montreal.
Yeah.
Fuck it,
Yeah.
I might as well just go to Montreal now
And then just fucking stay
chill,
there
Yeah, chill over
in a
there.
hotel
and
for like a couple days and
just fucking
relax.
relax. And,
Maybe take a shit.
Yeah.
Read the newspaper.
And
have
then
some
they gotta
coffee.
find time to work out.
Yes!
Those dudes are
Yes, that's
they're
the
huge.
oh.
And I'm like, I always wonder, like, where the fuck do they go when they're traveling all the time? It's not like, you know, they can go to the gym at home.
Right.
You know, I'm sure a lot of them have their own home
their
gyms.
own home gyms.
But it's like, it's not like they're going in there between every house show, and it's like, they have to find like an in shape or something in the town that they're
Like
at
a 24-hour fitness
that day,
or
you know?
something.
So I don't know if they have a traveling gym with them.
That's why all the rage was those resistance bands during the 90s. That's why
Yeah.
they ended up like creating them and developing them, because like, a lot of guys are like, man, I don't want to fucking carry 5-pound weights in my bags all the fucking
Yeah.
time. Like 20. I know I can do 20 pounds, but shit gets heavy after a while. I got to carry that shit through luggage. I got to take it out. I got to check it in. It's
Yeah.
fucking pain in the ass. Fuck that.
Yeah, I think most of the time they probably go to the gym at like fucking 1 in the morning, or
morning.
some shit.
That
Someone posted recently online a picture they took with like Triple H and Stephanie McMahon or something like at a gym.
at a gym.
I'm like, oh man, that'd be fucking badass. Like,
It's just like in the middle of the night. And he's just walking in. Yeah, no, that fucking schedule is tough. And the funny thing is, right? The funny thing is, they have all that travel, right? They have to travel.
yeah,
They have to be at certain places at certain times, and they have to make sure to be there, right? For the shows.
yeah,
Then they have to find time to work out, right? What about? Because I'm pretty sure once in someone's life who is a wrestling fan has played a video game, right?
yeah.
Watch the DVD commentaries or watch the DVDs like from some like Ric Flair's DVD or whatever.
Yeah.
They have to find time to do those interviews.
Yeah,
They have to find time to do the voiceovers. They have to
Yeah.
find time to do the cartoon shows. They have to find time to do the Hulk Hogan album.
do cameos in movies or something like that. Or,
Be on Saturday Night Live.
yeah,
They have to find time to do that shit too.
yeah,
Whereas they can just say, nah, fuck it. I'm gonna fucking go home and spend time with my kids.
yeah. They don't have a lot of time for family. I think that's why you'll see a lot of people in the business hook up with someone in the business,
Yeah.
you know, because they understand, you
Yeah.
know, they can
They
be
can
on
relate.
the road with each other.
Like Daniel Bryan, I think a few years ago ended up marrying one of the Bella twins.
Yeah, Some people look at it like, how the fuck did you do that? And it's like, dude, he's probably a really good listener.
You know what? That's all it takes.
He knows exactly what she's going through, so they get to talk about this shit.
Yep, and they get to vent, and then they get to work out their frustrations.
Yep. He braids her hair. She braids his beard. It's perfect. You know?
Yeah, hell yeah. Like, I think I honestly want to say that the only person who didn't marry in the industry was CM Punk. Because he just recently got married. I don't think he married anybody inside.
Well, he used to be with, was it AJ, right?
He used to be with AJ. He used to be with Christy Hemme.
He used to be with Hemme, too?
Yeah. He used to be with...
Is he still with AJ, or he used to be with her?
He used to be with her. He used to be with her.
I forget.
But a lot of them, they either marry inside the industry, or they fucking hook up.
That's the best way to deter divorce, I'd say, in that type of business. They're on the road a lot, you know, and
that's all they know. That's who they know.
Problems. I think that's why sometimes you'll see them try and bring their wife into the storyline.
Yeah,
probably to help save their marriage.
To help save their marriage. Yeah.
So
that's what the Undertaker did.
Yeah,
but then he ended up getting divorced.
And he even got her name tatted on his neck, you know.
And then he had it removed. One of the few guys. Gosh, I remember listening to an interview was Kevin Nash. He said because he got married before he made it big.
Oh.
And somebody asked him in a shoot interview. They asked him, have you ever brought your wife on the road with you? He was like, fuck no. You think I'm stupid? There ain't no reason I'm gonna bring my wife and show her the shit that I do to have her worry at home about the shit that I'm doing.
Yeah.
There ain't no fucking way I'm gonna do that. I just started laughing.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's fucking true.
Yeah.
There ain't no way.
Dude, fucking Scott Hall is lucky he's
Christ.
got the wife that he has. Like,
yeah, this got to take fucking a lot of patience.
He did, yeah. He put his family through like a lot of shit, and you know,
yeah,
she stuck with him for a long time. And are they still together?
Yeah,
no.
They're still together.
But yeah, dude, you could see how.
Oh yeah, dude. It's just like the other day I was watching. My wife was watching that show Divas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Natty Neidhart is on that show.
Yeah.
And you know, for anybody who's stupid and doesn't know, Natty's father is Jim Neidhart. And you know, Jim, like, he just recently went in the hospital for like a heart attack, and
ironic
to know that, but apparently he's like addicted to something, right?
Oh.
And then Dan Spivey is a friend of his and fucking took him to rehab clinic. WWE's paying for it.
Yeah.
The one thing that you see is his wife, and his wife. Okay, you know Jim Neidhart, fucking 6 foot whatever. He's fucking 300 something pounds, huge dude, right?
Yeah.
And his wife is all of 4 foot tall. Like 100 and whatever pounds, and the shit that she goes through is unbelievable. Because like, not only does she have to worry about her husband fucking, you know, being on drugs and having heart attacks, being in the hospital and all this other stuff, but now one of the things I fucking like, when I was watching the show, they showed the second episode, and on the second episode they showed that their fucking house is flooding. And he hadn't taken care of it because he's out of it. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. The women that are outside the industry that marry guys into the industry have to be some of the toughest women on the goddamn planet.
To make it work, definitely. You know?
The shit that they have to go through and put up. Jesus Christ. Which reminds me, do you ever see that show, Wife Swap?
I'm familiar with the show. I've seen little parts of it. I haven't watched it a whole lot, but
did you ever see when you could probably watch it on YouTube, but they did a celebrity special, and I think a couple of them that were on the celebrity special were wrestlers and their wives.
Oh man.
I saw that and I was like, oh my God.
Oh man.
What the fuck? One of two of the wrestlers were Roddy Piper and Ric Flair.
Shit. Flair. Oh my gosh, I have to see that. I have to see that.
Oh, dude, the funny thing is,
Damn.
Flair, he still lives like he's in 1980.
Oh.
Like
Sure
he'll
does.
literally go out until like 4 o'clock in the morning every night of his life. He's like 60 something years old, 70 years old, and he's still living like that.
Man, I can
He'll-
see him snapping on his swapped wife. Like, you shut your mouth. You know what's good for you.
Oh, that's such a good episode too. Oh man.
Damn, yeah, I gotta check that one out.
Oh hell yeah, dude! When you get the chance.
Hey, and that's the show. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that we were able to provide some kind of entertaining content for you guys. Um, hopefully, we made you laugh. Hopefully, we made you cry. Hopefully, we made you say, "What the hell is Jimbo talking about?" Um, so, if you liked it that much, go ahead and click like. If you want to stay up to date, click the subscribe button or follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page. Believe me, doing this it will allow you to interact with us and stay up to date with show progress and content, as well as know when the weekly Friday show has been uploaded, or behind the scenes have been uploaded, or the best ofs have been uploaded. Or you can give us some of your suggestions, some of your ideas for content and topics. The only way to do that is by sending us an email to losbadguys@gmail.com, and all the information that you need is in the description box below. I'm Jimbo Stevens. He's Ray Van Dam, and that was a lovely tea party.